Are you ready to level up?
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Travis.
You're listening to the Level Up Business and Life podcast,
where we talk to the top business entrepreneurs to learn their level up secrets
and get their tips and tricks to level up your business and life. Level up your business and life today.
Today we're going to be talking about part of the Marketing Monday piece that Travis has going on. And today, Travis, what do you have for us?
So we've been working together on developing this Marketing Monday masterclass, helping you design your business. From designing your business, you have to develop your customer base. And so what we're going to be talking about is from your first engagement with the customer through your content and developing your content building strategies, all the way to having them become a true follower of your brand. And that's really important. That's critical in developing a business. There's a reason that people have Harley Davidson tattoos on their arms. There's a reason that people will only buy Nikes. I know those people. Mm-hmm. They're out there.
Yeah, and if you have any questions about branding, you should listen to our episode about branding when Travis talked on that. But that'll tie really well into what he's going to be talking about today. But you're right. I mean, you need a brand. You need to know how to develop it. No one's going to do it for you. I guess you could pay somebody to do it for you, but in the end, if you can't do it, how can you expect somebody else to do it, right?
Well, sometimes you need validation, and this is really helping you understand why branding is such a critical piece of your business. As a salesperson, you or the worker of a company, you are essentially the ambassador of that company. Mm-hmm. And we hit on that the last episode, the last Marketing Monday a bit. In this episode, the theme is learn to earn.
Learn to earn.
Learn to earn.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
So you have to learn about your customers in order to earn their respect and trust, and their respect and trust in your company, your business, your brand. That's what a brand is. Mm-hmm. You feel more comfortable buying a certain dish detergent. You feel more comfortable buying a certain type of shirt, pants, car, because you've trusted in that brand. With this, I'm actually going to be pulling a nice chunk of this information from my sales and brand training that I'm developing. And by the time this comes out, you should be able to jump on and buy the training that I've developed around this theme.
So why don't you give us a little taste of it?
There's a portion in my sales and brand training that I talk about the LEARN method. And this is really just understanding your ideal sales channel. The who, what, where, when, how, and why. And they may not be what you think that they are. So let's talk about this. So let's jump into the who. And we're not talking about Cindy Lou Who. We're talking about who are the people that are currently buying from you. Right. Who, what do they look like? Ties right into the what. So we're talking about the occupation, their interests, their duties, and what kind of people are they? Mm-hmm. And that kind of the who and what are kind of one and the same, can be intertwined. But it's really understanding, if you could paint a picture of your ideal client, what do they look like?
Right.
Tall, skinny, short, fat, large, round. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. It could be any one of those. If usually a lot of time, the what is the most important. Their occupation, interests, and duties. Duties as a parent, duties as a husband, a wife, a member of society. What do they do?
What if you don't have a target market, or you don't know how to, find out who that is? What do you do?
There's analytics out there. You should know who's buying from you.
Right.
Right now, who's the top dog? Who is investing the most with you? Who is your ideal client? Pays on time, heeds your advice whenever you give it. Ultimately, that leads to success.
That's a couple good if you correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're already selling, you already have some business, then it's never too late to define your target market, right? So you just look at that group and say, and like you were saying, look at the ones that are actually paying you the most, that are the ones that are most prevalent in your overall customer base, and then just focus on that group and start defining your target market from there.
Yeah.
If you don't have any sales traction, what's the best moves for that if you don't have any sales?
Well, once we get through here, I'm going to talk about the ask.
You're gonna get there. All right.
Yeah, the
Get
ask.
ahead of everybody.
Yeah. Oh, you're moving
I'm
right
excited,
along.
man. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Teasers, man. Yeah. All teasers. Yeah. So listen to this podcast throughout this whole episode, because you're gonna get some key nuggets that you're gonna be able to take home with you and really execute on.
All right. Continue there.
So let's keep digging through this learn model. And so we're gonna identify the where, location. That's always critical. Can you physically be there? Can you be there virtually? And jumping onto a Uber conference or Google Hangout or Zoom, or there's a ton of different ways that you can interface with clients these days. Or maybe you have just a online training program, that you've done videos for. So now your location becomes digital. So now instead of GPS location, you're talking URL location. So the ways to think about how you want to build out your business. And then when are you interfacing with your ideal sales channel? And that is critical, because if you keep missing each other, it's going to fall by the wayside. And we can also talk about the number of contacts, touches, whether by email or a face-to-face or a phone call. Staying in front of them is also key. Otherwise, again, things could drop through the cracks. And then the how. How are you interacting with them? So it's these are in your sales channel. These are the actions determined for participation in the channel. So I just did a training. I did a 5-session training with the company, and one of the key elements that we worked out was teaching them how to more effectively use their LinkedIn. And so the actions that I taught them are needed for participation in engaging with people on LinkedIn. So you have to be engaging, you have to be actively. When I say actively, it means doing it constantly, all the time.
Activity, buddy.
Activity. We're in an age right now where you can grow your company very efficiently as long as you know how to use one of your main sales distribution channels.
All right, it's about the right type of activity nowadays, not just any type of activity.
Right. So what is needed for you to become an influencer in that space? And then the why. What is the purpose of that channel? Sometimes channels run dry, and sometimes you need to reevaluate what you're doing. And when I say channels, look at some traditional marketing. How has digital marketing eclipsed that, and more than eclipsed? You can see the growth rates of companies now are just shooting up overnight. It's not by accident. They're doing the right things. It's a numbers game. This, marketing isn't romantic. You have to. Your messaging has to be romantic because you have to make people care. However, you have to go where the attention is. I was talking about billboards the other day, and I was like, people aren't even looking at the road. They're sitting there texting and driving or doing whatever. They're not even looking at the road, let alone looking at a billboard.
Right.
That's scary, but is that billboard really doing the best for you? Right. Can you tell me how many people have looked at that? Like actually looked at that, not drove past it.
But then you're getting at that point. You're getting into like the different means of advertising. Yeah, you get into the high numbers. It's not as effective as it was, but I'll probably bet that there's somebody out there that would look at the bulletin boards. But you're right. Why it goes back to the target market is like, is your target market the ones that are going to be looking at the billboard?
Yeah.
In which case, billboard does or does not matter. But you're right. I mean, nowadays especially, chances are they won't be looking. So there's more and more in marketing. Always look up, and you can always find new, better marketing strategies out there.
Oh yeah, definitely. So we're going to change speeds here, and we're going to talk about what you started getting into, uncover what I'm about to go over here.
Get ahead of it a little
yeah.
bit.
So we were talking about customer discovery, and I had mentioned the ask. Wanted to really help you define your communication process, and not only that, but identifying lead quality. So when you are having conversations with your potential client, some key things that you need to keep in mind whenever you're interfacing with them. First off is, what is the need for your product or service? Is their problem big enough to be fulfilled by your solution? It's a validation question. Next is the experience. So what is the customer experience for potential customers? Do you have to fill out an hour's worth of forms? Or is it very sleek and simple, and at the end the customer feels better because they purchased your product?
I feel like you could throw one in between there and be like, do they want it? So they might need it, but the customer experience is if they want it or not, you know? So it's a combination.
Well, that's the need. You know, the next is the benefits.
Yeah.
So pros, cons. Could they see themselves using it? And lastly, and this is the big one, I'm going to break this down because there's a few moving parts to this, and it's critical. Feasibility. How well does your product or service fit in with potential customers' lifestyle, culture, location, timeline, and price point? And so when we're talking about lifestyle, we are essentially just talking about people's interests and policies. I'm going to quiz you on this, so stay alert.
All right.
I got a little activity.
Nice.
So this is also part of my sales and brand training. I've got a bunch of little activities that help you better understand and brainstorm
I'll be
these.
guinea pig. I got it.
Yeah. You mean my guinea pig for this section here, Heath. So lifestyle is a barrier where you are trying to hurdle people's interests and policies. When you're talking about razors, okay? Razors are more of a lifestyle product. So with razors, you're also talking shaving cream, you're talking aftershaves, you're talking a bunch of different features, add-ons. Okay. So kind of grasp your mind around what that, because you don't have to shave. Some people don't shave. Some people have to shave every day. But again, that's more of a lifestyle choice. I mean, unless you're in the military where they force you to shave every day. So, I mean, that's a real thing. Next is culture, and stay in the military realm, right? So that's the influence of the overall community. You are influenced by the community of the military. That's just how it is. You are influenced by people around you. It's a sense of validation. Whenever you're selling something and they say, well, let me ask my so-and-so, husband, wife, mom, friend, I have a friend that I want to bring down with me. So then they need validation from the overall community, or their immediate community in that case. So next is location. From operations procedures to geographic convenience. Some trucking, trying to cover those grounds, any kind of traveling, Uber, or, even pizza delivery, anything that is location based from a customer experience standpoint. And, is it convenient? Can you get to it quickly? Can they get it to you quickly? How long does it take to send something? Those are key location elements. And next is timeline. And when we're talking timeline, we're talking about jiving with conflicting schedules. So you're trying to hit your numbers today, but then a company says, well, let me see what it looks like with the budget, and ultimately it's about, sometimes the timing just isn't right. Maybe they'll buy it from you later, but not right now. And that's a barrier. It's that just things happen. And then finally, your price point. And I'm going to throw another term in there, value. So price versus value. And a lot of times that's going to be your colliding heads. That's where the rubber meets the road, and they're either going to bite it and purchase off you, or they're going to hit the bricks and they're going to take off.
Well, I mean, value, that piece is pretty near and dear to my heart, because from what I found, value is always, in the end, what people are buying. Price is secondary. You correct me if I'm wrong here, but if they see the value, if you follow those steps and you provide enough value to them, then price doesn't always matter. I mean, obviously, realistically, if they can't do it, they can't do it. But for the most part, that becomes a secondary issue, right?
If they're in the hunt for what you're doing and they see the value of what you do, then the barrier becomes much lower. And then there's a whole psychology that goes into pricing.
Right.
So, are you outpricing yourself? Are you underpricing yourself? The Goldilocks and the Three Bears. This porridge is too cold. This porridge is too hot. This one's just right. You have to find that sweet spot of how you're pricing. Is that pricing matching your goals? I have clients that they increase their price, and guess what? The amount of people that bought from them went up because they were underselling themselves.
Right.
And they were barely making ends meet. But they have such a niche that a niche in the area that there's nothing like them around for probably 50, 60 miles.
That's kind of perceived value as well, if you charge, people just typically think you have higher prices, that it's better quality. That's always the case. And so I've heard that too. I've had friends that are associates, people that have known businesses that were undercharging, then they upped their prices, thinking that they'd lose some people, and business actually took off from there, because now people looked at, okay, they aren't just, they aren't cheap, they're actually quality. They were always quality, but in the public's eye, or their market's eye, they were undercharging themselves, so they thought they were cheap.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So you ready for the quiz, Eth?
Yes, man.
All right.
I'm very good with quizzes.
Were you a C student?
I'm an entrepreneur, of course I was, man.
See, college was weird. It was C's and D's, get degrees, but I would kill my projects. That's
tests.
Yeah, I was the one. I was the one kind of coordinating all of the different projects, and making sure that. But I wasn't the one writing the papers. I was usually the one doing the song and dance up. Doing the presentation.
They did the group projects. I'd always be the one that didn't show up. I just volunteered to present.
Yep.
And they were like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah.
Nobody else wanted to.
Nobody else wants that job, man.
You provide value.
Yeah,
They were
absolutely.
okay with paying the price.
But I also was coordinating a lot of them, like, you're doing this and you're doing this and you're doing this, because most of them were just sitting around. I'm like, especially for my marketing classes, that was my bread and butter, man.
Yeah.
I actually got the one kid was like, "That's not fair. You ripped off a video from a BMW commercial." I'm like, "Dude, I climbed a tree. I tore up a pair of pants just to get that shot." And you keep right. So, but
but you gotta love group projects.
All right. So you ready for this our little group project here? So,
Let's go.
all right, we're gonna identify the barriers.
Okay.
So the barriers: lifestyle, culture, location, timeline, and price point. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. You tell me which barrier that fits. Okay? So let me turn my screen here for you. So when an annual budget is involved, which barrier is it?
I would say that one is price point.
The key word here is annual.
Annual, okay.
So they have to fit into a timeline,
Got it.
right?
See, I was looking at the budget piece.
Yeah,
I was thinking
yeah.
you guys stay within that budget, but that makes sense.
But the key, so when you're interfacing with a client, you have to understand
you have
what
a timeline. So if you're at the end of that annual budget, now I got you.
You feel me?
Gotcha. Yep.
Cool. All right. When validation is needed, which barrier is it?
I'll go with validation from who?
Anyone?
Okay, culture then.
Culture.
Nice.
Yep. Attaboy. So
50% so far. Woo. Seems to
Dude.
get degrees.
okay. Next is attention to add-ons and features.
Attention to add-ons and features. Just in general stuff?
Yeah. These are very general
Okay.
examples, but they all have a correct answer.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Lifestyle.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we talked about the shaving cream,
Yep.
the different add-ons and features.
Yep.
Now there's the boxes that you can get, subscribe to, and they're
Some people care about a certain thing and they want to see a certain way.
Yeah.
Your target market cares about this piece. You need to include that piece.
Yeah, absolutely. So, number 4, words like worth are used.
It's probably price point.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm
So
looking at that value piece on it too. But,
right,
yeah.
what's this worth?
Yeah.
Is it worth? And then that covers both price and value.
Right. Is it worth to you, or is it that you put dollars to it and that's price?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a value of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
And next is meeting convenience.
That one's probably location. No?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
shit, man.
So, I mean, that's the last one. So that's the only one it could be.
Process elimination testing 101. Like, no,
So-
that one makes sense.
Yeah.
Meeting convenience is it, how many, let me ask you this. When you're first setting a meeting or have a new prospective client that you're trying to reach out to, or somebody, somebody from your target market you want to try to sell to, do you tend to go to them, or do you prefer to meet at a neutral location? What's your process?
I tend to go to them, whether it's virtually or in person.
Mm-hmm.
So some companies prefer that I be there on site.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to pay on-site fees.
Right.
So that's everything. Is my business development costs are built into the overall costs of the project. So my time's valuable, just like your time's valuable, and so on and so forth. But everything you have to make it. Everything has to be subsidized into the overall project.
I mean, I think that's kind of ties into this piece is location. I mean, if you go to them, they're in their environment, a little more comfortable.
Right.
There might be some argument for that. I've also heard a counter argument to the going to them piece is if you meet at a neutral location or even your office, then now it's showing that okay, they're actually interested because they're willing to take the time to come out to you.
Yeah.
And but both cases, it's location. It actually matters more than people think.
Yeah. I mean, so that's where I'm flexible, and making it work.
Yeah.
That because my time's valuable and their time's valuable, and I want to make sure that any kind of questions that they have are answered.
Right.
And I don't necessarily need to be in a certain place. I have the ability to, or we all have the ability to interface through Google Hangout or an Uber conference or the Zoom, or just to be face to face. I mean, pretty soon here we're going to do some Instagram stuff. So as I'm traveling, so that way Ethan and I can kind of keep reaching out to everybody and making this thing continue rolling. So that's my Learn to Earn masterclass.
Awesome.
That is also part of my sales and personal brand training program that I'm going to be offering here very shortly. So if you are interested, shoot me an email, travis@trav.media. Very simple.
Yeah, man. Give us, thanks for tuning in to everybody. I mean, Travis, you covered some really good information today, like always in the Marketing Mondays. And even though I think I got like an 80% on that one. And so that's passing grade, which is good, even though I kind of screwed the pooch on a couple ones. I think that was some really good information.
Yeah.
Because in the end, any marketing or sales strategy you have, it's all about them.
Yeah.
You always got to think about it.
So this is that that piece was the customer discovery. That was the real meat of this podcast, and I'm just happy to provide you guys with some knowledge, some nuggets that you can take home and do what you will with them, and just to keep on moving and making your business better.
So I'm sure you'll be telling us more about this sales training course that you're offering once you develop a little more and release it. So everybody, keep tabs on a Level Up podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, all of our social media, Twitter if you haven't yet. I'm Ethan. And
This is Travis.